All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION this morning, and this, of course, has to do with the BRIC nations that are all set to hold the 13th summit today. As Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa gear up for the annual event, it is being believed that the crisis in Afghanistan is, of course, going to dominate the summit. Now, the turmoil is, of course, likely to have a ripple effect in the region at large, and India, Russia and China are major stakeholders. The situation could potentially destabilize the security in the region, and therefore counter-terrorism efforts will be one of the top priorities for the BRICS group. The summit will be devoted to efforts for preventing terror outfit from using Afghanistan as a launch pad for any attack on another nation. Now, the grouping is also expected to focus on the humanitarian crisis that's been caused about in Afghanistan with the departure of the American troops in a very hasty and a humiliating withdrawal. India, which of course is hosting this year's summit, is extremely wary of the repercussions of what is happening in our neighbouring nation, especially its troublesome neighbours, Pakistan and China, who are trying to, of course, get very cozy with the Taliban. Now, BRICS Summit is also going to focus on the COVID-19 pandemic, on climate change, digital tools for sustainable development goals, and will also enhance people-to-people exchanges. The summit will start at about 5:30 p.m. in the evening, India time. Now, these five nations on your screens together represent about 41% of the world population, 24% of the global GDP and 16% of the global trade. Now, this year's crucial summit coincides with the 15th anniversary of the BRICS, and the theme, of course, is cooperation for continuity, consolidation and consensus. All right, now to give us more dates in terms of what this summit, the BRICS Summit, of course, means, we joined in by WION Siddhant Zawal, who is joining us live on this broadcast. Good morning to you, Siddhant. This, of course, is an important summit of the BRICS that is taking place, especially at a time when there is crisis in Afghanistan.
Well, yes, Mohammed, this is one of the first of the many summits we will see this month, because we know that next week we will see the SCO summit, then later we will see the Quad summit as well. But talking about the BRICS, it is being chaired by India, and so far India has organized 100+ meetings. India plans to organize 150 meetings, and one of the key meetings have been the NSA meeting, where counter-terror was the main focus area, the health ministers meeting, the space chiefs meeting as well, and also focusing on number of current contemporary issues, whether it's the COVID crisis, whether it's climate change, or whether, as you pointed out, the Afghan crisis. This is the first major summit which was scheduled in terms of this year's overall schedule after the fall of Kabul to Taliban. We know there have been G7 meetings as well, but these were emergency meetings. So when it comes to the BRICS, and BRICS has countries like India, China and Russia who are directly impacted by the crisis in Afghanistan. We know just yesterday India and Russia held talks. The security chiefs of both the countries had conversations in Delhi, and we know the focus area was how the territory in Afghanistan can be used by these international terror groups, specifically Pakistan-based terror groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed against India's interest, and this can challenge India's security, but also for Central Asian countries, because number of countries like Turkmenistan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, they share border with Afghanistan, and their security will be impacted. And then, of course, they getting destabilized means Russia getting worried.
Absolutely, indeed. But also what is important, Siddhant, is the fact that, not all of the BRICS nations are on the same page in terms of how to deal with the Taliban. Russia and China have a completely different approach, while India is playing a very cautious approach in dealing with the Taliban.
Well, yes, that was evident as well on 30th of August when the resolution was passed on Afghanistan under the chairmanship of India. 13 members of the UNSC, United Nations Security Council, supported it, while two countries, these are permanent countries, Russia and China, they abstained. When it comes to the resolution, this resolution was something that was need of the hour. But when, as you pointed out, the divergence, yes, there are divergences, but as the Indian External Affairs Minister recently said that it's high time that point scoring should not be done when it comes to the Afghan crisis, and international community needs to work together for collective interest, because destabilized Afghanistan not only impacts India and the region, it impacts other countries. And of course, we know the Chinese are worried about ETIM, the Uyghur insurgent group. When it comes to Russia, it is worried about the Central Asian countries getting destabilized. And we know India and Russia have been working together. But of course, the dragon or the elephant in the room is China. Whether India and China will be able to work together when it comes to Afghanistan. We know after the Wuhan informal summit that happened after the Doklam crisis, we know that both countries decided to train the Afghan diplomats jointly, and it did continue for 2 years. But after that, we know the Chinese aggressive action at the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh, and since then relationship hasn't been very good. But what is interesting to note that this is for the second time that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping will be sharing a platform virtually. Of course, last time as well, we know it was the same BRICS meeting which happened last year towards the end of the year.
Absolutely, indeed. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibal, for joining us and getting us all those updates there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.